Never ever ask the other person to fundamentally change, because first and foremost, they most certainly won't listen to you, since they inherently have their own unique and personal process of growth and development. And secondly, keeping completely quiet makes you fully take responsibility for your own personal issues and challenges. And the only way to solve something that's ours is for it to be in our own hands. Because if our problem, whatever its name may be, is put in someone else's hands, we will never solve it. So the important thing is that if I have a problem of any kind, I keep it in my own hands. And if I have my problem in my own hands, then it might take me more or less time. It might be nicer or uglier, more uncomfortable or not, but I will solve it. Because it's in my hands. And no one cares more about my problems than I do. Right? So when you keep quiet, you accept that it's up to you to do something about what bothers you. Right? And the relationship truly starts to be between mature adults. What does this mean? This entire situation of if you consistently didn't yell, if you always arrived precisely on time, if you diligently took out the household trash, if you meticulously made the bed each morning, if you thoughtfully picked up the damp towel, it's truly you. It's undeniably you. It's absolutely you. When all of that is completely eliminated from your daily routine, your entire life fundamentally changes. Who are the individuals who constantly say, "Please give me"? Give me your hand, extend it towards me, give me what I truly want, give me my genuine happiness, give me my deep pleasure, give me my essential food, give me... Who are the ones who say, give me, give me, give me, give me, give me, give me? Children. Children, why? Because they can't do it on their own, right? And that gets recorded in here, in the amygdala and the hippocampus. Yes, I need someone to... And I need someone to give me, because if not, I'll die. And it's extremely important to understand this. That way of satisfying needs gets recorded here as a path to success. If I truly need something, they readily give it to me. If I need something, I cry and they immediately give it to me. If I need something, I throw a significant tantrum and they still give it to me, okay? And sometimes, quite astonishingly, people are 40 or even 50 years old, and they're still exactly the same. I absolutely need something, so please give it to me. Or I will certainly make a huge dramatic scene until you finally do. Because if you don't, it profoundly means you don't genuinely love me. Because if you don't, I simply don't matter to you at all. Because if you don't give me precisely what I need, then it's clearly because you prefer your friends, you prefer your dear mom, you prefer whoever else, perhaps your demanding job or whatever other thing. So then why are you even with me if you're not going to give me exactly what I truly want? How old is a person exactly? Who actually lives their life that way? 4, 5, 8. Yeah? And in order to truly build a strong and lasting relationship, you absolutely have to be a mature and responsible adult. Yeah. Yeah? What does it mean to be an adult? It means to stop being a son. Stop thinking that mom or dad or whoever took care of me has to continue taking care of me. This thing where I help my mom and I tell her she shouldn't let my dad treat her that way, and I tell my dad that he should do something else because of whatever reason. As long as a person who calls themselves an adult, just because they're older, still thinks they have to change their parents, they're still a child. Because parents have every right in the world to live their lives however they please, just like adults do. You have to leave your parents alone. If they have the right to live, it's just that they fight terribly. That's how they chose to live. Who are you to say they have to live differently? So if you're not going to take responsibility for your own well-being and your own pleasure, both things, then you're not in a position to cultivate or build a romantic relationship. Right? Start with yourself. How do you solve this? I come back to myself. And when I think that if my partner changed, and if my kids changed, and if my parents changed, and if the president changed, and if the tax office changed, and if the weather changed, and if the traffic changed, then I would be happy. What chance do you have of being happy? Well, none. None. So how exactly do we truly make a romantic relationship grow and flourish every single day, consistently, for many, many wonderful years to come? By taking responsibility for our own well-being. If I take full and complete responsibility for my overall well-being, I can then truly meet each and every single one of my essential needs. The other person does the same. So well-being plus well-being. Pleasure plus pleasure. It's wonderful. What can I do about jealousy? First, have a good definition of what jealousy is. Okay. Because if I'm walking down the street and my partner looks at the buttocks of another woman who passes by because she has beautiful buttocks and I feel bad about it, that's not jealousy. That's called envy. Okay. Because I would like him to look at me the way he looks at the other girl. Okay? To have what the other woman has. To have what the other woman has. Okay? So that's called envy. And how do you solve that? By working on your self-image. Self-concept. Right? Self-efficacy. Self-esteem. Ultimately, there is no self-esteem if there is no self-image. Right? If there is no acceptance of your image. And I have to say this. A lot of people say, my self-esteem is low because of my low self-esteem. And there are people who spend their whole lives working on their self-esteem. And then one day something like this happens and their self-esteem disappears. Why? Because they haven't worked on their self-image. What is self-image? How do I see myself? How do I see myself? No. Who am I? Right? Who am I? Is how I see myself self-esteem. And I can't see myself. I can't take out an eye and look at myself. I see myself through the eyes of others. Right? How do I see myself? I see myself through the eyes of others. Those couples who are just two, always together like glue. So I don't have many references about myself. Or, well, there are older people who still see themselves through their mother's or father's eyes. Wow. Yes, and it's quite common. So your self-esteem is no longer in your hands because it's already in the hands of the person you see yourself with, through whom you see yourself. So the cultivation of self-image is done through the development of self-love. If you genuinely do not work on truly loving and appreciating yourself, there is absolutely no conceivable way to completely avoid that pervasive and often debilitating feeling of envy. If I manage to profoundly understand and internalize the profound truth that I am utterly unique, truly unrepeatable, and indeed one of a kind, that there is absolutely no one else in the entire world who even remotely resembles me in any significant way, and that the particular guy or girl standing right next to me, or perhaps even across from me, specifically chose me, not everyone else, or just anyone else, or whatever the circumstances may be. Then I understand that I have something to give that no one else can give, only me. But that's where self-image comes into play. How do you start working on self-love? Well, you have to like something about yourself. So that's the first question for self-love. What do you like about yourself? And you have to work on self-love so that later the other aspects like self-confidence can grow and so on. Self-efficacy, self-esteem, well, all cars. I'm afraid he won't come back. Why would he prefer someone else? That's not jealousy. That's fear of abandonment. Okay? And that is worked on in childhood trauma. It's not jealousy. I'm afraid he won't come back. Or let someone else choose. Yeah. So the problem with a bad diagnosis is that the treatment doesn't work. Yeah, right? So what actually is jealousy? When I think that someone truly belongs to me personally, when I talk about my partner, yes, it's like a sense of ownership. Yes, they're mine. What happens in the brain? I talk about my house, my car, my bike, my phone, my clothes, my pet, right? And when I talk about something as mine, the brain knows that I can do whatever I want with what belongs to me. Yeah, right? Yeah. When I talk about my partner, the brain understands that I can completely control that individual so that they think, feel, and do precisely what I want them to do because they are truly and absolutely mine, and I possess them entirely. So when I talk about my partner, I am essentially telling the other person, in a very direct and perhaps even blunt way, that their entire existence and value are solely defined by the extent to which they are able to satisfy my personal preferences and desires. Wow. Right? And this is what jealousy really is, because I believe the other person belongs to me. But the undeniable truth is, you absolutely cannot truly possess another individual human being. All humans inherently possess their own free will. The very best and most ideal thing that could possibly happen with the person you have thoughtfully chosen to genuinely share your entire life with is that they ultimately get along amazingly, wonderfully, and harmoniously well with all of their past ex-partners. That means they've learned something because they ended all those relationships. And if they ended all those relationships, it's because things didn't work out. And if they get along well with those people, it means they understood how they managed to end those relationships. So the best thing that could happen is that they get along great with all their exes. If they ever criticize an ex, pay close attention because your turn will come. It's better if they get along really well. And if there are indeed children involved, then the crucial key is to fully understand that when you are truly sharing your entire life with another individual, there are actually two distinctly different and separate contracts at play. One significant contract is the romantic relationship itself, and the other, which is completely and entirely different, is the fundamental family relationship. And this one is nurtured and built through certain behaviors. And this one is nurtured and built with behaviors that are different from those. Human beings are both individuals and social creatures, both things at once. We develop as individuals through adventure, creativity, and eroticism, and these experiences shape us through everything that expands our consciousness. Family gives us exactly the opposite. It gives us belonging, a sense of stability, a safe nest to return to whether things go well or badly. The fantasy of security through the accumulation of assets are the things that we need just as much as individual development. So what's the problem? People move in together or get married. If they get married, it's even worse. And if they have children, it's even worse still. But then they start focusing on all the family activities. And they forget about the activities of the couple. So at some point they realize that they no longer have erotic encounters, that I no longer desire you, that it's not the same as before, that I no longer care about going out with you, that... Yep. Because you stopped caring for and cultivating your relationship. You dedicated yourself to family relationships. Wow. Yeah. So either you nurture both or you end up without one of them, the one you don't nurture. You have to choose your partner every day. Every single day. It's not like they're just there like my favorite piece of furniture or my favorite pet, no, right? You have to consciously choose and acknowledge them as a unique human being, distinctly different from your own self every single day, right? And human beings are inherently uncertain, okay? Well, since the one who truly loves is a human being, then love itself is inherently uncertain and quite risky. It involves a degree of unpredictability. Thank God. Because since it's uncertain and risky, I'm going to take care of it. When it's certain, then it first becomes a pet and then a piece of furniture. We don't feel like having sex with pets or furniture. So first you have to cultivate the relationship as a couple. Constant seduction. Constant with whom? With myself. I must practice constant seduction with myself. Then I must cultivate my own seduction with life, invited to dance, invited to enjoy, invited to develop all my senses with pleasure, to get to know myself erotically, to explore my erotic fantasies, to truly develop the keen sensitivity of smell, well, of each and every one of the senses, right? And to genuinely share that profound pleasure I cultivate within myself with the other person. What is the belief that kills, absolutely kills eroticism? The idea that the man gives pleasure to the woman, right? Because it's terribly violent, right? How is it violent? Look, the woman is so inferior, but so inferior that she can't even reach pleasure. The man has to give it to her, and both the man and the woman believe this. Right? So the woman is going to get revenge. Oh, you didn't take out the trash. Oh, I have a headache. She will strategically and deliberately use the intimate space of the bed as a powerful and insidious tool to manipulate, to exact a calculated form of revenge, and to inflict a deeply personal and emotionally damaging punishment upon the other person involved in the relationship. Wow, yes. But what's truly interesting and quite revealing is that, thank you for bringing this up and allowing me to elaborate further. So I'm going to castrate my own sexual desire to punish the other person. You have to develop the pleasure of living within yourself. So, well, there are a lot of things inside here that if we don't get our minds turning, it doesn't work. There are indeed many people who truly and deeply love the individual they have chosen as their lifelong partner. And they fall in love with someone else. Why? Because falling deeply in love is something that truly happens to us. It's not something we meticulously plan. It's not something we can explicitly say we want or definitively don't want. It simply just happens. If we feel truly bad, if we feel without absolute clarity, I mean, if we feel like we're standing at a significant crossroads in our life and we are uncertain about which path to take, then it becomes a moment of profound introspection and decision making. And we don't know what to do, whether to go right or left. And we don't even feel clear enough to make a decision. And we're afraid. And we also don't have the strength to say, I'll take the risk. And I mean, if I really find myself at a crossroads, it's most likely that I'll fall in love. Yes, happy people don't fall in love. They love. You have to feel messed up to fall in love. What are the two ages when we face a major life crossroads? Adolescence and your 40s. Because by your 40s, you've already done everything society told you to do. You didn't get to where you wanted to be, and you don't feel like we'll be happy forever. No, that's not real, right? All the fantasy, the magical thinking, the expectations, all of that went to hell because the model of romantic love is a terribly violent one that ends up destroying everything. So you reach your 40s and people stop and say, do I want to live another 10 years like this? So it's very likely, yes. And it's common for you to fall in love again. The drama of infidelity, which has only been a drama for a short time, just a few decades ago. Before, it wasn't a drama. This whole thing about infidelity is recent. About what? How? Why? Because you are mine. So only with me. Exclusive sexuality is explicitly set as a fundamental condition for establishing and maintaining a romantic relationship. And what happens? Infidelity, betrayal comes along. Always. Whether real or imagined. Always. Why? Because the model, the romantic love model, is a model that destroys. Oh, Nila, so then you can't have exclusive sexuality? Yes, you can. Only if it's the direct and wonderful result of having such a truly wonderful and deeply fulfilling relationship that you don't even feel the slightest bit tempted, and you absolutely wouldn't risk it for anything at all, under any circumstances. Right? As a result, as a consequence of a wonderful relationship. Not the other way around. Not as an obligation. Not as an obligation, not as a condition. Yes, as a condition, it always works out badly. Can trust be regained? Never. Wow. Never. A betrayal, and never mind whether they actually slept together or not, because that's not the point. Well, for men, being unfaithful means ending up having sex, right? But for women, many times just putting a hand on a pretty girl's butt is considered infidelity. So the first thing you have to do is define what infidelity means to you. Because there are people who are unfaithful without even realizing it. Of course, right? I mean, you have to define it. So what do you say? Where does infidelity begin? How do you handle it? How do you learn to trust again in someone who made an agreement with you for sexual exclusivity, sleeps with you, eats with you, and then betrays that agreement? How do you do it? Would you ever forget if you were hit by a truck? Never. 10 years later, you'll see a red truck like the one that hit you. You might not have any injuries anymore, but you'll be scared to death. I mean, there's just no way. It's a mistake the other person made, and they made it. And if it happened once, why wouldn't it happen again? It's an internal permission, and it's a unilateral decision. Don't come to me saying, well, since you don't sleep with me, I went with someone else. That's a pretty crude justification, right? Why? Because if you don't sleep with me, then I bring it up. Hey, look, either with you or with someone else, but I bring it up and talk about it. I always have the option to say, this isn't working. What are we going to do about it? If you choose betrayal, I mean hiding or lying or however you want to call it, it's a unilateral decision that doesn't take the other person into account. That's why it's called betrayal. There was an agreement and you broke it. No one can forget that. No one.